right. Virgin Australia believes politicians insisting on taking Qantas 90% of the time is costing taxpayers millions of dollars. Joining me is Senator Jacqui Lambie. Good to see you, Senator. So what do you make of those comments from Virgin? Are politicians required to take the cheapest fares? And if so, why aren't they?
No, so they're not. This is the problem. And the PM could actually fix this morning, to be honest with you. You could send out a memo, and his Defence Minister, because Defence is just as bad. They're all using Qantas. What it should be, the memo should be pretty clear. Whatever the cheapest flight out is, that is the flight you are catching, seriously. So this goes all the way from local government to state government to federal government, and they're all doing the same thing. I mean, you know, I asked some questions about this about a month ago. I've got them back, and I can tell you this is the deficiency between it. So the government here, the federal government, spent nearly $26 million on flights with Qantas in the last 12 months, yet Virgin has had about, Virgin itself was about $2.5 million. So who's the preferred carrier here? The other thing is this. When you are booking, the people that book our flights in here, I think it's about time they also got that memo and were told wherever possible that they have to give the politician, this is the scenario, this is your cheapest flight, this is the available times. And I think that needs to start, and you could do that. You wonder why there is no competition when the federal government is putting all its eggs in one basket with Qantas. That is really unfair to the rest of the domestic carriers out there, and it's about time they started to share the love.
Was Labor's campaign launch in Adelaide the reset that Anthony Albanese needed ahead of Parliament this week?
I don't think so. I'm not sure about that. Me talking to the uni students over the last few days, they don't seem to be real keen on that. You know, that sounded really lovely, $5,500 to start with, give or take. That's not sounding so lovely now. I say this to the PM. I mean, we did a disaster resilience, and what we do know is we have no volunteers. So instead of doing it this way, why don't you do a volunteer system where if these guys are volunteering over with their first degree and they're doing so many hours and they pay 25% of their fees, they pay 50% of their fees. If you really want to, instead of using Band-Aid effects, there is different ways of doing this. And once again, we are down on volunteers. Our kids haven't got the resilience that they need. That is another issue. I've got, you know, I have the Climate Army. I'm doing a Senate inquiry on that, and I'm going to be looking into all this. But quite frankly, I want to see kids in this country back out volunteering, and I want those hours deducted. I want them deducted off their HECS fees. That's what I'm coming for over the next 12 months. But this $5,500, mate, over the long term, you paying that off, all that sort of stuff, really, it's not going to be much of a reduction at all. That's really frightening. And the other thing is you're doing these TAFE places. Well, here's one for you, and here's one for your viewers today. A lot of those TAFEs are not up to scratch. They're not up to scratch. So instead of putting apprentices through those TAFEs like they should be, and they should be wrapping them through, they can actually be getting them to do on-the-job training and fixing those TAFEs while they're at it. The military is another one. They don't do apprenticeship schemes like they used to. They used to do them in their thousands. For God's sakes, open the apprenticeship scheme again, go from 4 years to 3 years, because you have the ability to do that, and ask for 2 years return of service. Right, 2 years return of service. There's much better ways of doing this that are going to hold in the future. And I just think our Anthony or the PM is just doing Band-Aid fixes, and it's just people aren't buying it, not during the cost of living. They've had about a gutful of it. Start making some big marks here. Start leaving something on your resume when you go, and you're just not getting the job done. But these Band-Aid fixes, I've had a gutful. I thought we've seen enough of them during the Coalition's time over the 9 years that they were in. But quite frankly, Labor's doing the same. Never going to fix it, never going to work. It's just not on.
OK, Senator, just while I've got you, just quickly, this is the tightest race to the White House in living memory. What do you think of a second Trump presidency and what it would mean for Australia?
Yeah, it worries me a little bit about Trump. I'm not a, I'm certainly not a supporter of Trump. I just don't think he has the stability to lead the US. That's my first thing. If he's talking about putting 60% tariffs on China, as much as I say stop putting all your eggs in one basket, if you think that putting 60% tariffs on China isn't going to have a negative effect on Australia in the long run, then you are dreaming. So, and just with the other, if he's talking about other tariffs at 10%, I don't think that is going to be helpful to Australia or other countries around the world. So, I just, the stability of Trump worries me a lot, and I just don't think he's stable enough, certainly, to be a president of the United States of America.
Okay, Senator Jacqui Lambie, appreciate your time. Thank you.